Hi, my name is Kate Madden. I live in Calgary, Alberta. I'm passionate about community, creativity, and collaboration. I also happen to be a transgender woman. And in today's video, I want to share with you a couple of the superpowers that I've come to realize that I have through the course of transitioning from being assigned male at birth to living my full female life today. I hope you gain value in what I share, and maybe share your experiences of transition down below. If there's things you've realized or things you've come to an awareness of that have helped you and in turn helped others. So let's get at it. A couple of weeks ago, I was looking for parking downtown. It's in the Beltline. I was late for dance class, and I think there was a hockey game or a concert or something because there was no parking anywhere. And I was running late, and so I pulled a U-turn on a side street. What I didn't know, or rather what I didn't notice, was that I cut somebody off. Which, I cut them off, I'm sorry. I didn't know I cut them off until they were right on my bumper. And as I was pulling into a parking spot, I stopped, and they stopped, and then pulled out in front of me and boxed me in, jumped out of the car, and started screaming, "You fucking bitch," in probably the most aggressive and offensive manner possible. In the course of this person repeatedly kicking my car, hitting my car, screaming at me, I just kind of went into a fawn, fight, flight, or fawn. I just froze, held onto the steering wheel, and some YouTuber I am, but my hands were shaking so bad that I couldn't even hit record on the phone. Somebody came up behind and started honking. He got in his truck and pulled ahead a bit, just enough for me to squeeze through. He followed me for a couple of blocks and then peeled off. This really bothered me and really upset me. There were a number of reasons why, but primarily my sense of physical safety had never been compromised in that way before. And I didn't know if he had a tire iron when he went back to his truck, but that was where my thought went for sure. And in terms of what this person may have done, I would not have been able to respond. HRT has shrunk my muscles significantly. I've lost an entire shoe size. I've been asked if I've shrunk in height. I'm 70 pounds less than what I was when I had a beard. And yeah, it really did upset me tremendously, and it just happened that I had a therapy session the next day, so I was able to work through that and a few other things. But I came in hot, and that was great. But the sense of helplessness faded quickly. It's not to say that it wasn't a terrible experience, because it was. I have the tools and the skills now to help me process and understand those situations, those really intense, difficult, challenging, painful situations, rather than letting the circumstances consume me and then being stuck and full of catastrophizing or anxiety or leading to depression, which, that's kind of my process in those moments when anxiety gets the worst of me. Is it starts with the catastrophizing, moves to the anxiety, and then ultimately some sort of depression that, sitting in bed staring at the ceiling, which I dealt with for a few months, it felt like, and I'm glad to have the support network I do. But here's a spoiler alert. You're going to be okay. The world is a better place with you in it. So since transition, I've been able to explore the world in a whole new way. And, moving from closeted, pretending to be a cisgender, heterosexual male, moving from that lack of authenticity into a life and a love of authenticity, where I found myself as a queer woman. It's been an amazing journey. It took a lot to get here, but it starts with courage, and courage is different from fear. I do struggle with people who come up to me and they randomly let me know that they think I'm so brave for what I'm doing. And I just want to have like a coffee or my beer or whatever I'm doing, and but it's an awkward feeling to have someone think you're brave when really it was about courage. So in terms of transition, like you take the mask of dysphoria off, and it usually leads to all sorts of other wonderful discoveries. If you're trying to work on yourself and trying to grow, if you're not dealing with other challenges or barriers to understanding yourself. And for me, really, it was anxiety that was the new discovery. And the reason for the anxiety was dealing with a lot of deep-rooted issues from my childhood that were impacting me in my relationships in adulthood, and still do, but to a lesser extent. The thing about dysphoria is that it prevents a lack of engagement in your brain, really, from self-assessment and understanding what's going on. That's when the courage comes in. Is that you now choose. Like, I didn't choose to be trans. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't consent to this, but it's the way I am, and I am so much happier since transition, like for all sorts of reasons. But what I did consent to, what I did sign up for, what I did choose to do, what I did opt in for was to face down that anxiety and those deep-rooted issues and work with my team, my support network, the professionals in my life, and really try to understand how I can grow from them. And so I think courage is a key thing, is understanding the patterns in your life and how they've rolled out over a period of years, decades, and how they continue to and will continue to. And I have a friend who asks people on the first date and I've never done this, but I should, is what trauma are you actively working on, and how will you not dump your shit on me? I don't know. Maybe I should try that one. Another thing that I realized kind of through transition was that for years I had transferred my autonomy to third parties, and not just autonomy but purpose, my sense of purpose, whether it was through church, religion, family, marriage. I didn't exist, and the things that I wanted to do didn't matter because I had no real sense of internal purpose. And like the postmodern philosophers talk about, is we live in a world of no purpose. So I've talked about the French existentialists before, and like Albert Camus talks about the thing that keeps you alive is the thing that makes you not want to kill yourself. And I think in a very crude and blunt way, he was talking about that internal sense of purpose and finding the drive, the will to live through the things that get you motivated and get you up in the morning. So what gets you up in the morning? I think you need to figure that out. Is courage. What's your purpose? What helps you, motivates you? For myself, really, I find it in community. I reference it every single video, is community, creativity, collaboration, and ultimately those are the three main drivers in my life that get me going. I find a tremendous sense of self-worth in just giving myself to my community in whatever capacity I can, in helping, whether it's locally or provincially or even nationally. I obviously love creativity. Like, I could have just thrown my cell phone up in my car like I have done before, but I spent a long time figuring out practical lighting so that this would look good, because it is part of my sense of expression. And I do love to work with other people, and I've learned so much from other creators, and talking with them and sharing myself with them as well. It's been an amazing journey. Since, and these were all three things that I couldn't do really prior to transition. And as I began to find myself, I was able to step into this, who I really am. And one of those things that I struggled with as I stepped into who I really am is that I found that when I was in a really dark place, really difficult situation, there was a period of about 4 or 5 weeks where I couldn't ask for help, and I desperately needed it. And it was the articulation of that realization that helped me understand that, oh my gosh, like I hadn't seen my therapist in almost 2 months, got in a big argument with my former partner, was dealing with a tremendous amount of stress at work. Financially, I was approaching collapse, and I started to reach out and ask for help. And all these realizations kind of prompt the question is, who are you? And that was the key thing for me, is I began to understand who I am through reaching out and finding my people, finding my tribe, and finding my community. One of the horrible things about being trans is just the very simple fact that statistically over 40% of us have attempted suicide. A lot of us have had that dark night of the soul. Maybe more than once, more than twice. And we're still here. We made it. But what I really begun to notice is that just in general is no one tells you how to get out of it. People will sit with you, people will hold your hand, people will show you, because they've been there, and this is how they got out. Like if you're in a hole, they know where the ladder is to get out. And no one's going to tell you how to get out of that moment. But we will walk beside you. And a friend of mine recently shared a saying with me that a friend is someone who sings your song when you forgot the words. And I know for myself, for a very long stretch of time, I forgot the words and I could only hum along. And there are people in my family to whom I will be forever grateful to, as well as close friends who really showed me the way out and walked with me and held my hand, and still do. I know there's dark nights ahead, I know there's tough times ahead, but these are some of the things that have really helped me, is understanding the difference between fear and courage, finding purpose, and just that key realization of what my main weakness is, of not being able to ask for help. And I used to love to read. I really do need to read more. I have a really hard time with attention span now. Really difficult time with it, and I just find I can't concentrate reading now. That's PTSD or what, but I just can't. I even struggle with movies, sitting through a movie. One of the most interesting books I've ever read is Atlas Shrugged. And I know a lot of us in the trans community tend to drift left, and I can already imagine people getting ready to click off or type an angry comment. But I did read the book when I was 29. And I did triple my income within 18 months of reading it. So there is something to the book. And Rand puts forward this idea of selfishness as a virtue. Egoism can be ethical. And so, the number one example I come to think of, and really, transition is this. when an airplane loses pressure and the oxygen masks come down, if you're traveling with your kid, you have to put your mask on first before you can put your kid's mask on. Hypoxia will set in so quickly that you'll be useless to help your kid if you die. And so, that's just one example of selfishness as a virtue, or egoism as a virtue, is that in helping yourself, you're helping those around you. In realizing this and understanding this, I began to ask myself a question: who is the most important person in my life? And if you begin to understand who the most important person is you, how will your life improve if you begin to take steps to support that person, to help yourself, to move forward, to progress, to grow? There will be people who call you toxic, who call you selfish, not as a virtue. But chances are you are making these people happy and not yourself. So if they can't accept you and support you as you move on this journey of really self-understanding, why are they in your life? Chances are they're a toxic influence in your life now. Those are just some of the things that have really helped me move towards a path of understanding myself, is having these two superpowers now: self-awareness and resiliency. And had I never transitioned, had I never been given an opportunity to start down this journey of self-actualization, and when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once you get past shelter and food, you move towards self-actualization. I don't know that I could have recovered as quickly as I did from the assault that I experienced, or even the profound trauma I've experienced over the last 18 months with multiple incidents of intimate partner violence. So the steps that took me to resiliency and self-awareness were courage, purpose, the realization that I need help and support. I can't do it alone. Community, really. And then not being ashamed of wanting to do what's right by me. So resiliency is a learned skill, and you can get there through that self-awareness. And so in those moments of challenge, of heartbreak, of pain, of struggle, of stress, of anxiety, where I can say with certainty that I know I'm going to get through this, I know you'll be okay, it's because I've been through it before, and now I've learned the steps to manage myself and my experiences through it. So this is by no means a roadmap, but it's what's helped me, and it's some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that I employ in my life still to help me get through. And it might not be a roadmap, but it's not far off some of the things that I've read that the ancient Stoics are sharing with us through their writings from 2,000 years ago. And Marcus Aurelius, he was a Roman emperor, 1st century, 2nd century. When you go to Rome, and I hope you get to go to Rome, but he's everywhere, he said that a rational being can use a setback, turn it into a resource, and achieve good. He also said the obstacle is the way. So, one of the ways that I try to do this, and I think I will do a video on this about discomfort, is I look for the place where I am most uncomfortable, and that's where I go to grow. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Here's to life.